Hello, and welcome to In the Court of the Wenton King. Queen. We are doing Queen. Many apologies for the inconvenience. So won't be surprised at how long it's taken us to do Queen. But it's really something you would discover first before you ventured into prog. Really. Which is kind of why it's...
I mean, they are like a gateway band, I suppose, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a band we already know anyway. So
everybody in the world
Everybody,
knows.
Yeah. Well, they think they do. They don't know the real stuff, etc. I'm reading the book. I say the book. There's only one. Which isn't it? It's not in my bag.
I've decided not to watch the film.
Well, this is the thing. Started reading the book. The idea was I'll read each album as I go. We go through the album, so it would, but I'd read up till like sort of halfway through. Smile is a band, and Freddie Mercury is their roadie, and it's around that time. That was last night. So we went to see the film, and now, what? So now I'm completely lost. I haven't read the rest of the book. Maybe we should read the film. We should review the film.
I don't want to watch it. It's supposed to be rubbish, isn't it?
Yeah, don't watch it. It's just bizarre. It's Mr. Robot. Mr. Robot as Freddie Mercury. It's all wrong.
Mr. Robot, the Amazon series. It's really obvious.
Yeah, it's him.
All right. Yeah. Oh, him.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yes. So not prog, but influenced by prog. So possibly the first neo-prog band. Obviously, Queen have a specific recognisable sound, the harmonised guitars, the harmonised vocals, possibly the best lead singer or the best frontman, whatever. Groundbreaking production. It's that busy sound, but it all sounds very clean. They've got this way of making it sound really clean. And it's refreshingly not bluesy, which is basically Freddie's voice and Brian's guitar. And obviously, bands that have a unique sound, like Yes and all that stuff, it tends to take a couple of albums to get there. It's already there. It's bizarre that it's there on the first album. The sound of the guitars, everything is already there. You can tell it's early because it's a bit muddy, But basically, that production is there. You think, Yes album, Trespass, In Rock, all those albums. There's always a build up to it. They don't just get there on the first album. It sounds like Queen. Really, I don't know if that's just what we're going to be saying. It just sounds like Queen. A lot of that's to do with that they were given access to Trident Studios because their manager was worked at Trident Studios or something. That's how they did it. Famously, the demos were better, and I was like, whatever. Until I put them on, and they sound fantastic. So there you go. Yeah, Queen 1.
I didn't listen to the demos. This is like the deluxe version, isn't it?
Yeah.
Apparently, there's like a 2009 remaster or something that sounds crap. So I don't know if this is that or not. I know there was a remaster where it
2011,
a bit compressed.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't know, but it sounded all right to me. I thought the reviews at the time of this compared them more directly to Led Zeppelin, which was strange. Which was, I don't know if that
sound anything like this.
No, I think it might be because Led Zeppelin were the thing then.
Yeah.
So everything's compared to Led Zeppelin, but there was a definite. Oh yeah, this album could be remembered like Led 1.
It's nothing at all. There's no link.
On that basis, I can't really call them neo-prog. There's a lot of influences in there, from very simple stuff to sort of like complicated structures and stuff like that. It does sound good. It sounds like you say the sounds that definitely the guitar sounds there, and obviously Freddie's there. It is all there, but it does for some reason sound more variable than you'd expect a Queen album to be. Queen have got a very distinctive sound, especially the guitar. It comes from the guitar, Brian May's guitar, and it's on a couple of these songs. But there is more. There is a wider variety of sounds than I expected.
I think that's the early albums. That's the proper Queen stuff.
That's Queen, is it?
The later thing is a different thing, but still sounds like Queen.
Yeah. I mean, they're good songs, aren't they?
Mm.
But they're not like super pop memorable songs, which is what they sort of became famous for.
Yes. Yes, that's a completely different thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think. I mean, it's funny how they don't get criticised for it, but they did sell out. They twice. They did sell out, and the second time was a disaster.
It is weird. Yeah, I mean,
but no one seems to mind. Whereas Genesis, they are the devil. It's not fair. They were successful. And Queen did kind of exactly the same thing.
Interesting. When you sort of read one of the songs they recorded 3 times. Which one was it?
Keep Yourself Alive. I think they did about 8 times.
Did they?
Yeah.
I mean, it shows a sort of dedication to it. They really know what they're.
They're into the production thing right at the start.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? Really, I know they're really confident about it. They know what they want it to sound like.
Yeah,
and they know what's good and what's not. And I think that's sort of like maybe a underestimation of Queen. They're actually quite, from the production side, they're quite sharp and canny. We obviously know Brian May's quite an intelligent technical person. Yeah, it seems to be right across the band, doesn't it? They've all got that ear for production.
Yeah, which I mean, and again, you expect there's like a couple of albums of their touring sound, and then they'll get into studio stuff. But on the demos, they were doing it.
Yeah, good.
It is strange how long it took them to actually get this released.
To break, yeah.
And that they didn't when they were recording, they didn't have a deal. Actually, didn't have a record deal for months, and it wasn't until this was mixed. They actually got a record deal, and it came out the following year. And that explains how they got from this to Night at the Opera in like 18 months or something. It was because actually they'd already done Queen 2 by then, etc. But yeah, so the story goes the demos are supposed to be better, and when I actually finally put them on, I thought, ooh, goodness me, they do sound a lot better. They sound very lo-fi, but the production approach or whatever it is sounds fantastic.
You got to wonder why, when record contracts were given out, relatively freely at this time, someone comes up with a relatively, a pretty polished demo tape.
I know. And they couldn't get signed. Yeah, people heard it and thought, oh, yeah, it just sounds like Led Zeppelin. It doesn't sound anything like Led Zeppelin at all. And the other thing that's interesting, of course, obviously, is that they all wrote, well, at this point, the 3 of them all wrote. But a lot of the songs come from the previous bands. I think Rhye was written like in 1970. Keep Yourself Alive is a Smile song, and I think Doing All Right as well. So it is a, it was a difficult second album in that they already had songs at this point, and it sounds like Queen, even though it's actually written by different bands. It's very strange. So yeah, like I said, are they a singles band, or are they comparable to Genesis in that they made albums in the past, but then became known for singles, and the singles overwhelmed everything else, and people forgot? I don't. There's some great stuff on it, and there's some great writing on it, but an album, I've never been completely convinced. I really like the compositions in this era. It's that structured composition stuff I really like stuff like Liar, Keep Yourself Alive, and things like that. They're not really, like you said, they're not the memorable songs. They're the structured pieces. But as an album, it is an album. I mean, I'm not saying it's not an album, but it's not like a Led Zeppelin 4, the perfect albums. First there was Dark Side, then there was Wish You Were Here. And I'm not completely convinced Queen ever did that. That's going to be the controversial thing, I think.
What made a proper album that wasn't just a collection of pop songs?
No, I won't go that far. I don't think they're as much of an album band in the 70s as portrayed.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I suppose the albuminess from this comes from the fact that you don't want to skip songs, There's no sort of like, oh, let's go straight to that song.
Yeah.
You do listen to it as a sort of, as a one piece.
Yeah, because it is an album. I'm not saying it's not an album.
Yeah. But the unifying themes probably aren't there. I suppose there are a few unifying themes, isn't there? Sort of like the fairy tale thing. Rhye was that dreamland that Freddie Mercury created. Oh. And he's I think that's on a couple of the songs. Right. And you got like My Fairy King. So he's a sort Great of King Grat. But
fantasy.
That's quite
fantasy
really.
Theme.
Yeah.
Good. I'm completely lost. That film was completely thrown me. It was wrong. The film, it almost started at the point I got to in the book. And I was like, huh? What? And it's all wrong, and it's all weird and strange, and it's Mr. Robot.
So what happens in the film then? Spoiler alert.
Okay, spoiler. Skip a minute forward. You double click the screen. It's all about Live Aid. It's like the film of Live Aid. So it starts with Live Aid, and the end is they got to Live Aid. Could they do it? And then you have a recreation of almost the entire Live Aid performance. An actual recreation with the actors and the CGI Wembley Stadium, I think. Some of the people are real. And there's some terrible close-ups of people going, look, about 4 people kind of thing, And it's very strange. So that's through. I mean, it was performed exactly the same. So why didn't they just show the footage?
Live Aid, yeah. So what was the setup of this? Was it can Queen cope on the big stage of Live Aid?
No, it was can Freddie Mercury still sing? He's lost his voice now. Will he be able to sing? And then on the stage at Live Aid, they're looking at each other, and he hesitates before he plays the first note. Freddie Mercury didn't hesitate, and they rehearsed for days. It was absolutely meticulously planned, and that's why it's so perfect. And of course, even though it's exactly the same, because it's not them, it's just actors. The energy isn't there. So it was just weird. So I left the cinemas just, huh? And all the facts were wrong. It was all in the wrong order and all the rest of it. But it's like a cartoon Queen. It's not a documentary. And I'm reading about people coming out there crying because it's so emotional. Very strange.
Had Freddie Mercury lost his voice?
Well, he did have throat nodules. He had damaged his voice. He could always sing. I mean, bloody hell. It was only 20 minutes.
Isn't that
20 minutes.
Isn't that performance famous for the note that was heard around the world or something like that? When he held that note.
Oh, when he's doing his crowd thing. Yeah, but he did that every concert.
Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't like, could he do it just that once? No, they're just very rehearsed. And I mean, actually, Bohemo, he sings a high bit which he never sung live any other time.
Really?
The reason is that he sings for 20 minutes, so he could do anything. And early on, and this really clunky drawing attention to who wrote the songs. You can tell who the producers are. So it's like, yeah, that song, you wrote that, didn't you, John Deacon? You wrote that song. And I'm in love with my car. What a ridiculous song that Roger Taylor wrote. We'll have to fight Roger Taylor because he's the one that wrote it. And then even Bohemian Rhapsody, I know it's a Freddie Mercury song, but that guitar bit, do you like it? Oh yeah, because I wrote it. I'm Brian May and I wrote that bit of Bohemian Rhapsody. It goes on through.
I mean, do you get to hear the songs?
The songs are recreated very, very accurately.
That's all right then.
And that's good.
Yeah. So yeah, you probably needed to skip about 3 minutes there.
Yes. Sorry. Never mind. It doesn't matter.
Film review. Yeah. Review of the film in Queen 1. Yeah.
And it's thrown me completely. I'm actually lost. I'm actually unable to review this album. Because I'm right in the midst of thinking about what really happened. And then this bizarre Mr. Robot gurning around pretending to be Freddie Mercury. 4 eggs.
That's surprising. I mean, you didn't seem too positive on it, but that's quite a lot of eggs. I kind of agree, actually.
Fantastic stuff.
It's
Keep Yourself Alive, Liar. They're probably the best things on there. You've got Son and Daughter is like their Sabbath thing.
I like The Night Comes Down.
Night Comes Down is good.
Yeah. Managed to get that in, cross that off my list. But yeah, I mean, it's good. They're good songs, And
it's good music. I think that the problem is you think Queen, you expect the catchy songs.
Yeah.
That isn't there.
No,
and that's a good thing.
They're just good songs.
Good music.
Yeah, good music.
Of a more sophisticated nature than what they're unfortunately now famous for.
Is that the original cover?
Yeah.
Because he's got the broken music stand in his hands. I thought that was...
Yeah, because apparently at the very first gig, right, he's messing with the mic stand and everyone's laughing and then he goes like this and it comes off and then everyone cheers, yeah! The very first gig before he's even sung a note.
And that's it forever.
Yeah.
Oh, right, so that did happen before then. I thought that had developed at some point. There we go then. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Queen.
It's Queen. Next week.
Terrible review. Next week.
Queen 2.
See you then.